All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, where I do see that live chat is indeed working. Morgan Hebron says morning. Flyrod says ahoy and clank. Ahoy, mateys. Uninformed Citizen says clank stars. Alpaca777 says clank, clank, clank. There's 3 clanks for the price of 1. And so on forth. Cam2425IA can't chat today, Clankdom, but I'll be listening. No worries, my man. Or chick. I don't know. I don't want to presume anyone's pronouns. Get in trouble for that in these days. Let's see. Yes, we are live over on Rumble. Excellent. Super Clank Friday, my breath of fresh air host, says Drake here on Rumble. And I see some doom and gloom over there. Oh, my goodness. Richard Smith, we're doomed, Clank. Oh, no. Yeah, I was going to talk about Scott Adams. I see a couple of people mentioning him and his interesting diatribe the other day. I've decided not to because he doesn't like me, and so I don't want to give him any undeserved attention. So, yeah, cheers. Tonight is actually sushi night. I decided to make chili the other day instead of getting sushi. And then we ate leftover chili the day after, and oh boy, was it good. And spicy as fuck. Excellent. J.S. McDirty, please give a clank for my cat Lucy. She passes away this morning. Rest in peace, good kitty. And I don't have a spoon available, but I don't know. Does that count as a clank? I think it does. Yeah, it's always sad when a pet passes away. I remember when Cleopatra died, she literally died while I was petting her. So it was definitely on a different level of emotional at that point. Not fun. Drennan, hello. My name is Styx Hexenhammer. You can read along with me in your book. You will know when it's time to turn the page when you hear a clink like this. God. Yeah. Yeah, losing a cat's never fun, or losing any pet, actually. I had a millipede once we had found in the woods, and I had it in a little terrarium setting, and it died because I have no fucking clue what millipedes ate when I was a kid. I was sad about that, too, actually, for a few days. I mean, it's an insect. It's a little bit different from a cat, but, yeah. I like animals. I like plants, too. I'm sad when they die. I've killed a few house plants before, but I don't think quite so much about them as I would a cat. A little bit more interactive anyway. We will get right into it. We have lots and lots of news to cover today. First, the disaster in Ohio. No, I don't mean the train derailment. I mean Pete Buttigieg showing up looking like the OSHA poster boy. Oh, Christ almighty. Jimmy's World, Burlington, Vermont is no woke haven. I'll expose it. Yeah, I know. All the white liberals that are there are desperately racist. They just go through the motions. I was at UVM for several years. I know what you're talking about, Jimmy. King of Biltong, good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Hashtag Clank Nation. Yes, indeed. I will go there sometime. Maybe we can go and kill some wild animals or something. We'll go and kill wild pigs. That'd be fun. I'd like to blast a boar in the head. Not with an AR-15, though. It might just bounce off the skull. Next news, first news story. Oh, my God. Pete Buttigieg went to East Palestine. He was compelled to do so in the wake of Trump deciding to go to East Palestine the day before. I guarantee that Pete Buttigieg expedited his plans because Trump had been there. It was something the administration had to do. But he shouldn't have done it. The way that he showed up, the way that he spoke to people, interacted with people, and the way that he dressed, actually, when he was talking to some of the workers there that were cleaning up the mess that helped be made by, what was it, fucking Roanoke South or whatever the fucking name is of the train line there. I've sort of forgotten. He probably should have just stayed home. First, when he's waltzing in, and he's still got his suit on. This is before he turns into OSHA poster boy with the protective glasses and everything for absolutely no goddamn reason. He was openly dismissive of people there that were trying to ask him questions. Now, some of them were politically pointed. Clearly, the people are pissed at Buttigieg. They want to get a hot mic moment, so to speak. That's understandable. you should still attempt to answer those questions, even briefly while you're walking along. Your transport secretary, you got a fucking job. His press secretary then diverted the attention and said, well, I'm his press secretary. I'd be glad to talk to you. No, though. I can't talk to you now because I will only talk to you off camera. That is not a good look. When the transport secretary's press secretary, secretaries upon secretaries, are not willing to talk to the people of the community unless it's unrecorded, that's not a good look. What it makes it look like is that you're hiding something. It doesn't matter if that's actually the case. The optics are poor. What I would put out here, and then he goes off to be OSHA poster boy and look totally fucking ridiculous. What I would put out is that in the past, I've said that Pete Buttigieg was likely near the top of the pack if Biden doesn't run. And I speculate still there's a pretty good chance of that. He would be near the top for viability in a primary. Now, the left hates him. And after this, they probably hate him more just for environmental reasons. They don't care about the people of Ohio, but they do care about the trees and the fish and stuff. His viability now is on shaky ground. And so I don't know that he'll pass the sniff test. That's a real problem for the Democrats because without Buttigieg, who else do you have? You have Elizabeth Warren. Nobody wants her to be president of the United States. You've got Kamala. Even fewer people want her. Unless you're going to dark horse it or you're going to get someone in there with a load of baggage from, COVIDianism like Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer, it was Buttigieg. He was really the stand-in. I do believe that Buttigieg ultimately is the stand-in for Biden if they decide to retire him from the chessboard and or he just says, you know what, I've had it. I've been president. Enough is enough. I'm going home. Now they may not be able to do that because the problem is that under normal circumstances, let's say you had a hurricane hit the United States, a Katrina moment, a literal Katrina moment. Transport secretary might be related to that in terms of a bridge washed away. The rail lines were damaged, something infrastructural. This is a train derailment. The only fallback that the administration has had in dealing with this is Orange Man bad. The mythology that if Trump hadn't deregulated things more at the EPA level and with transport, that this wouldn't have happened. The problem is that a topical fact checking of that shows that that's not true, which is why the fact checkers won't touch the story at all. But most people understand that that's not the case, unless they're partisan. But I mean, the partisans will solidify behind whoever the Dem candidate is anyway. Buttigieg, Kamala, it doesn't matter who it is. You have to wine and dine independents. They do a little bit more research now, don't they? That would be a little bit of a problem for Buttigieg's potential presidential run. Of course, it may or may not happen. It could be that Biden's crazy enough to run again in 2024. Yeah, an 83-year-old. He's going to be campaigning really, really hard against whoever his opponent is. The Grizzly, Buttigieg literally going to Ohio to snub his nose at those Trumpublicans destroys his own prospects for a 24 run. Can you say career soup aside? What a clown show of an admin. Yeah, he looked dismissive, and so did his press secretary, and that's the worst thing he could have done. He should have gone in bleeding heart mode. He could have done this. He could have pulled it off. Bleeding heart liberal mode. I feel your pain. I'm a man of the people. I was mayor of South Bend, bullshit, nowhere, middle of goddamn Cornfieldville. I know what it's like. I come from the working class. He could have lied to them and said, he's from the normal people instead of silver spoon mode. And he could have gotten away with it. He could have said, look, I know things are fucked up here. I know that our response was slow. I apologize. I know the FEMA response was slow. I'm sorry for that. We will do better. We realize that if we're going to stick together as Americans, we need to do better by one another. We need to support each other more. He could have done the sloganeering thing. He could have easily done that. He's not a badly spoken dude. He's not bad with rhetoric or anything like that, but he didn't. Instead, he went in, he ignored people, his secretary ignored people, and he looked completely out of his league. And that's not a good look optically if you're transport sec and you're potentially going into a presidential campaign. That'll hurt him. On Second Thought says, howdy from Waco, Texas. What is our biggest threat, China or the WEF? And are they one and the same, perhaps? They're twain. Chinese communism informs what the WEF wants to do, and the WEF's tyrannical globalism informs what China wants to do. They are, in fact, the same. I like when people think that, well, the wokeness of the West is separate from BRICS. BRICS is our savior. No, they're not. Not even remotely. E100 Omega 123, disregard OSHA, do a wheelie on your forklift. I don't know if I'd recommend that. Brian T sent 5 Canadian dollars. Thank you. Aussie's robots, since and including Obama, most high-level politicians and appointees are a version of political auto-tune. No discernible talent, all image and manufactured. Yeah, I mean, Biden's cabinet is basically diversity hires other than Blinken and a few others. Buttigieg was chosen because he is gay. Kamala Harris was chosen because she is a BIPOC female. That is the only reason that they were chosen. To contrast with Biden, who's an old, relatively, at least socially in the past, socially conservative individual, tough on crimer, Catholic, etc. Well, pretend Catholic, but he had to go through the motions. It's not so fashionable now. It was for contrast purposes. Kicking back, relaxing. Hey, Sticks, can you recommend changes to the Rumble that they improve the mobile app? Background play and super chats. They don't have super chats. There are Rumble rants, which are super chats on Rumble. I've never used the phone version because I hate apps, so I wouldn't know if it works on there. But yeah, I've recommended to them some changes before, and some of them have been made with regards to chat, actually, including Toxic Matrix. Pete Buttigieg, sorry I am so late to come here. I had to wait weeks for the toxic cloud to disperse. Yeah, that's why he wanted to wait longer, but Trump pressed the issue. Psychophantic, did you hear about the Oak Ridge, Tennessee uranium storage facility fire? Yes, but that was put out fairly quickly, so I didn't bother to docket it on the news. Thankfully. Whatever eco-terrorist probably started the fire, though, wanted it to burn longer. I have a feeling that eco-terrorism is responsible for some of these things. Next news story from Politico. Biden may not run, and top Dems are quietly preparing. Yes, they're slavering away. They're salivating, just thinking of, if Biden's gone, maybe this is my moment to shine. Gavin Newsom's on the list. Gretchen Whitmer's on the list. Others in Northam might be on the list, oddly enough. Certainly people in the cabinet like Buttigieg. Kamala, I think, is a long shot. I don't think that she would win. And if she did become nominee, I think she would fail in the general. I don't think all the honking in the world could get Kamala Harris to be the president of the United States. The likability index there is so phantasmagorically low that I don't even know that all the ass covering by the legacy media in the world would be able to pull it off. I think they're looking for someone else. You'd get Warren and maybe Sanders. AOC is on the list, and others. And despite all of their very public bravado about, well, Biden's done such a great job, I would love to see him run again. I guarantee you that most of them don't want him to run. They are at least topically in touch with the polling that shows that only about 30% of Democrats want him to run again. By the way, that is massively behind Donald Trump, who also has under 50% of GOPers who want him to run again. But he's still light years ahead of Joe Biden. In the end, whoever the nominee is, Biden, Trump, Kamala, DeSantis, etc., the partisans will get behind them. You need more than just partisans, especially when the independent vote has massively increased over the last few years. It's a double-digit increase in the number of independent voters. It's going to be real goddamn hard if you field Biden in order to win the election. Regardless of who he runs against, Trump would have greater in-party support. You'd have to do, therefore, disproportionate amounts of independent outreach on a platform that's basically, hey, I gave the left a few of the things that they wanted to do. I think the sharks are circling. They smell blood. They realize there haven't really been any major successes for the Biden admin that don't boil down to partisan politics. If you're a Democrat, you probably have no problem with them. Well, we got the infrastructure deal, and he went over there and taught Putin a lesson, which is not true, but you perceive it that way because you watch CNN, and that's the way that it goes. Independent voters are key. Which way will they break? Are they really going to break for a dude who will be 83 years old, whose successes in name are entirely partisan? I don't know that they would. You probably need fresh meat. You probably couldn't even be someone from within the Biden admin itself. That might rule out Buttigieg too. His general viability before may be tainted by being part of the administration. Kamala's a no-show VP. I think, again, that's a backstory. You might have to go with Newsom. And Gavin Newsom has a mountain of credibility issues with regards to the COVID response. So I think that'd be a hard sell for a lot of people. Soulstorm 9000. My forewarned curveball, dear Tarl. Advice from an occult or meditative position for an only child dealing with a terminally ill end-of-life mother. First, recognize this, and I've said it before. Practice some ashubha. Everybody dies. This physical body that you see before you will pass away. It will degenerate. It will rot into the grave, or be burned up into the skies with cremation, and it will return to nature. This physical body will decay and go away. Doesn't matter if it happens tomorrow, if it happens 50 years from now. It goes bye-bye. It's temporal. When you realize this, it can help with the transition towards death for yourself, and also a greater understanding of death. That's number one. And that's a Buddhist practice, ashubha, literally meditating upon decomposition. I don't mean it literally like look at a decomposing animal and meditate upon it and try to feel yourself in the corpse, although you can do that. I mean, yeah, it's frowned upon in Western countries. Secondly, I would say, self-improvement. If you know that you are going to be bereaved of that individual, and that individual cares about you, and clearly you would care about that individual, or you wouldn't be asking the question. They would want what's best for you. They would want you to succeed. Uphold them and their memory and the legacy that is them in the temporal form, in that temporal sense, and do your best. Self-improve, go forth into life, succeed. Make something of yourself. Make your ancestors proud. I made a video some time ago on the bizarre dichotomy of ancestor worship. Some people think you need to apologize for what they did. Some people think you should just hold them up on a pedestal. I have a different feeling. I think that you should look at the positive things that they did, and it sounds like this individual did as well, again, or the question wouldn't be asked. Uphold that then, and try to strive to be at least as good as that individual. Add something to that lineage. I believe that's a very spiritual practice. And you can use that negative energy, by the way. I mean, you'll feel sadness, you feel anger at the world or something. Use that to drive ambition, to take your mind off of that negativity and put it into something productive that helps others. Maybe somebody else has been had their life measurably improved by your efforts. I think that's a good thing to do. Mr. Willie 2204 sent $19.99, but no comment. Thank you anyway. Apache, the Biden years have been awful so far. He's failed in every way. They said Trump would, but the anti-Trump crowd still screech orange man bad, but ignore Biden. Yeah, that's by default what the legacy media is trying to do is ass cover for Biden and his various failures while dovetailing anything that he does in a really, really roundabout and dishonest way with what orange man bad failed at, while not talking about orange man in any other way. There is literally a wall of silence. Fox basically announced it the other day. They do not intend to give any coverage to Donald Trump. They're trying to starve him of oxygen. Ricky Green, hiya from Texas, sir. As a budding occultist, I have aphantasia, mental blindness, and can't visualize anything, literally. Is it possible to still be successful while lacking a mind's eye if you have an opinion? 5-year fan. Yeah, of course. I have a highly visual mind myself. In fact, half the day I live in my own fantasy world, to tell the truth, including when I'm working. Sometimes when I'm walking around. I have to be careful of that. But yeah, of course. That doesn't mean that you can't absorb knowledge. Doesn't mean that you can't read or write or anything like that. It just means that you have that particular mental frame of mind, that you can't visualize things as well. It might be a detriment if you're trying to do transcendental meditation or something like that, but certainly you can still, yes, you can practice the occult. I would say it's possible. I don't know how possible it is, but the possibility of the possibility is there. Maybe try to develop a visual mind, attempt to visualize things. I don't know why that happens. Apparently, half the population can't really see an abstract object in their mind. Like they can't envision an object. Like if I say, think of an apple, they'll think of apple, but it's basically like text-only mode or something, and they can't like actually visualize an apple in their head. Of course, no two of those apples will be the same. I can visualize it. I can almost hallucinate the apple in front of me. I don't know if this is something that's common or whatnot. I don't know, but you can, yes, you can study the occult. You don't require my permission. Bo Sivas, Sticks, I've decided to check out New Hampshire. Do you think the leftism and wokeism in Boston could creep over? Also, how do I avoid Lyme disease? Well, you avoid Lyme disease by checking yourself from ticks from head to toe when you come indoors. That would be a good advice if you are in New Hampshire or Vermont for that matter. Yeah, I've seen in the last few years, well, prior to coming here to the Netherlands, I saw a lot more ticks than I had in the past. I'd never seen one until I was about 17. And I've seen 5 or 6 more in just a couple of years prior to leaving Vermont for here. So it would be, yeah, you should definitely do that. I don't think the wokeism from Boston will creep over, though. The metro area doesn't touch the New Hampshire border. So for right now, you are safe. Seemingly calm. Don Jones, but Sticks speaks French, and his dad is an expert on Gramsci. Don't you know he's superior to the great unwashed? Poor man has to avoid rubbing shoulders with those who hate intellectual chic. That's so unfair. Yeah, he doesn't like people who wear polyester clothes. Did you see he had like $1,000 designer shoes on while he was in the OSHA outfit? Safety glasses and shit. Oh, Christ. The Grizzly, I've trained my mind's eye to work with my eyes open to help me paint miniatures. It really helps visualizing color palettes and shading for them. Panic at the Bistro, arr ye scallywag. It be a beautiful Friday, Captain Sticks. A beautiful day to make the yellow-bellied neocons walk the plank. Yar, clank. Did I do a good pirate? Kicking back, relaxing. Unfortunately, I have to be exclusively on mobile, and Rumble literally provides no option to clank on mobile. Please suggest pocket playback. I will contact them and see what I can do. Takes some time, though. SJ Whitney on Rumble. Regarding Rumble rants, you need to convince them to increase the size of a message you can send. It is painfully difficult to get a question posted in a coherent manner. This is the maximum size. Oh, so it's like Twitter length. I will contact them with these various concerns. Again, it's harder for me, though. Some other content creator can get involved maybe too, because I never use the mobile experience. I use my mobile phone for calling Liz if I need to, or getting a call from her. That's basically it. Pokeslasher, they're taking Alex Jones's cat as part of his bankruptcy hearing. 1776 will commence again. Now, I think that they're trying to figure in the value in the bankruptcy judgment, as opposed to actually physically taking his cat away. But I did see that, and it's beyond the pale. They're harassing the man at this point. Feel sorry for him. Next news story. DeSantis drives Democrats crazy on school libraries. Yes, by cracking down on sexually explicit material being funded by taxpayers and made available to grade school children, or communist diatribe and bullshit, revisionism, similarly treated. Ron DeSantis and others, by the way, in the country have completely flummoxed the far left. Now, I wouldn't say Democrats. One thing we have to keep in mind, we'll look past because this is the Washington Examiner. We'll look past the partisan framing of this. Poll after poll after poll after poll, and there are no exceptions to this, show that even among people who are more liberally minded, various races, genders, et cetera, none of those people support CRT either. They don't support sexualizing children either. The vast majority of the population does not want 10-year-olds going to drag shows. The vast majority of the population does not want teaching literal communist rhetoric to school children. It is an overwhelming majority. It is a super majority of Americans. It's in most polling, it's over 70%. I have a feeling that the remnant of those are the extreme far left and people who don't have kids, don't want kids, and probably don't like kids, or they're just fucking commies or perverts. That's that 30%. Everyone else agrees that we should protect children, that we should protect them from lies, aka CRT. By the way, Critical Race Theory Debunked, available on Amazon.com by yours truly, Tarl Warwick. Go and check it out. It's critically acclaimed, and I do mean that literally. They'd agree with that. They agree that small children should not have, fucking drag queens gyrating around in front of them and stuffing tips up their ass and shit like that. That's common. Therefore, when we get past the partisan perspective here, which is key in this particular article, I do have to congratulate DeSantis for taking the forefront and driving them insane. I would point out that, again, most people in the country do not want that sort of thing happening. But you have to be proactive. DeSantis has taken the fight to them. Now, I am not sold on DeSantis 24. or necessarily DeSantis not being astroturfed. I think that there are people that are just trying to create an anti-Trump sort of thing, and so they're trying to promote him any way that they can. Although I note that the legacy media actually attacks him, unlike Vivek Ramaswamy, who seems to be the ultimate astroturf candidate at this point. DeSantis might not get in. They might need a replacement, a little acolyte for him. But you give credit where credit's due. When something is being done that is proper, that is good, that is helpful, pragmatic, give it credit. Give credit to people who want to be leaders when they do something right. Arguing against critical race theory is always right, because critical race theory is inevitably wrong. If you've studied about it, you would probably comprehend that. Null hypothesis. What say you on the prophet Edgar Cayce? He was not a prophet, but he was an interesting man, and I've got some of his literature actually in Rowan. Krukmanar. Why don't train break regs apply to East Palestine? Yeah, exactly. They just stop working once they're around a bunch of Trump voters. S.J. Whitney on Rumble. Note, this message size issue is on a home PC. I had no room to say that. And Conservacuck says clank. Matt G. Hammond. If you open rumble.com in a mobile browser, you can do most of the stuff people are complaining about. Yeah, see, I know nothing. I don't know. I guess there's app and mobile instances on mobile phones. I don't know the difference. I literally couldn't tell you the fucking difference in any way. Kicking back, relaxing. I used to have a flip phone, but now I don't have access to a PC. It sucks, and I'd rather be able to be on a PC, but I don't have that luxury at the moment. Yeah, I will never give up laptops and hook them up to a larger screen for when you're doing work at an actual desk. Ozzy's Robots. Media personalities clearly shill for globalist oligarchs and commies, yet millions reflexively believe any swill they spew. Shockingly ignorant population. That's sad. Ghost politics. I was watching VTuber Pipkin Pippa play a cool System Shock-esque game called Atomic Heart the last 2 days. Is it weird that I was hot and bothered by the game's anthropomorphic sexy refrigerator? Yeah, I guess that game has generated some controversy. I know absolutely nothing about it, and I have a feeling that's not actually ghost politics, by the way. BW, be honest. Do you think Trump will win in 2024? Yes. Yeah, I have hope that he can. I mean, look at the opposition he'll presumptively be facing. Shane Cougar's Sweaty Gunt. As a linguistics guy, how much do you love the term circle jerklism on Urban Dictionary as coined by Ricada Law? Haven't seen it, but I'll have to take a look at it now that you mention it. Next news story. Biden's latest whack at the suburbs will change your neighborhood for the worse. 200 pages of radical new rules would require equity plans that go far beyond fair housing. Yes, the fair housing thing through HUD, which is basically don't discriminate against people on the basis of gender, race, discriminating against a mental disability, physical disability, etc., are now presumptively going to be expanded. And so you're going to have diversity quotas in suburbia. I actually, while I oppose the concept, I do think it would be really, really funny if like a lily white, largely liberal suburb and on the outskirts of some city, it's full of NIMBYists, people who think that solar power is great, but they don't want it on their roofs because it hums. They think that it's good for people to go to co-ops, but they don't want to grow their own food because they're too lazy. They think that other people should be the ones picking up trash alongside their road. They keep things squeaky clean, and they worry when they go to a neighborhood where they see a beer can on the side of the road. I do think it would be funny if Tyrone moves in next door. I will say that right now. I would love them to suffer because they are the ones that support wokeness, so they deserve it. If you support the idea of blanda it up, deal with it, deal with the problems, NIMBYism shouldn't exist. If you want more treatment facilities, we should put it in your suburb. If you want more rehab facilities, we should put it in your suburb. And I don't care about your property prices because you're consistently voting for these things, but then you don't want it near you. So I don't see the problem with the burbs getting a little bit of diversity. Who fucking cares? Oh, your housing price dropped 5%. Your nest egg is gone. You voted to rob the nest eggs from the working class over and over again to keep them down. I have no problem with that. If someone wants to move into the burbs and they have the money to move into the burbs, who gives a fucking shit what color skin they have? I guess I'm deviating from Scott Adams on this issue. I think that his gated community needs more diversity, don't you? I think that maybe Hotep Jesus should move in next door to Scott Adams and see what happens. The Grizzly, about the Russian robot game. It's Russian, and if you buy it, Zelensky sends you to the 9th layer of heck because my Ukraine's invaded. A bunch of neon hair leftists are mad about it. I have no clue what that is. Yeah, so we're going to send some diversity over to Scott Adams' suburb, and Biden will help us. He'll pay for, well, he'll use our tax money to pay for it, but it's an improvement anyway. I do oppose the basic schema, just beyond the glib and the chuckling here. I don't believe in artificially diversifying anything. People should associate with who they want. But it couldn't happen to a nicer group of people, especially if it's the upper middle class suburbs. It's McMansionville with their limestone fireplaces and stuff like that. That would be very, very funny. Put the refugees in the gated community, bitch. Fire down below. Was watching PBD yesterday, and he was explaining how Fox News has abandoned Trump and praising DeSantis. Will this affect Trump's re-election? Yes, it'll give people like me something to talk about. Proving us right once again. How many goddamn years has it been since I started warning about Fox being controlled opposition? 5 or 6. It's been a while, and I never was a fan of them before that because I was a liberal. So, yeah, I'll have a good time. Maybe some Fox simp content creators won't, though. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Then they'll want sticks to help them. Ghost politics. I swear on the life of Joe Biden that I am the real ghost politics. Still getting over my sickness, but I'm about 50% better. Deutsch Chad, do you think a reason why they want war is because of a new president not being able to take office until the war is over? World War III could be many years long. Thanks for the daily non-black-pilled news. No, I don't think that. I think it's a money grift at this point. Next news story. Those accused of discrimination would have new protections under Florida bill. A bill proposed by a Republican lawmaker would change the meaning of defamation per se. Now, with defamation per se, you don't have to necessarily prove damages. Under largely unconstitutional modern circumstances, normally you do have to prove that, especially if you're a public figure, and that term is vacuous, by the way. The way defamation should work is someone is maliciously attempting to do so by smearing you. They're saying something that is untrue. They either know it's untrue or a reasonable person would know that it's untrue. They have no evidence of it, so they shouldn't be peddling it. They're lying about you, and they're doing it with some grain of malice. They're trying to destroy a career, a marriage, whatever it happens to be. That's the only litmus test that defamation should have. For many purposes, it goes beyond that, though. Because if you've been defamed, you still have to prove that there was some detriment to you, and that can be difficult to prove. I mean, if let's say you're an author and you're selling 100,000 copies of your book per month, someone defames you as a child molester, and then all of a sudden you don't sell anything, you probably can prove that claim and recoup your losses and reestablish your reputation via your case. But if you lost 10% of your sales, couldn't that other person just argue, well, it's just an organic drop in the interest in your book? Well, you can't prove a jack shit. Yeah, I lied about you. You go suck an egg. That's basically the way that it works in some states under certain circumstances. And the measure of what is or is not a public persona, again, is very malleable. It depends on state regulation as well. On Tuesday, he escalated his push. This is Alex Andrade. He's from Pensacola. Withdrawing his initial bill and submitting a different measure, HB 991, the latest bill goes further in its description of Florida media law. The bill would limit who is considered a public figure for the purposes of defamation suits. That's good. And could make it more difficult for media outlets to use anonymous sources. Now, they're acting like this is tyrannical. I think it's a great idea. A media outlet should not be able to simply say an anonymous source says this person raped somebody 10 years ago and run with that story and defame the person knowing the source isn't real. No establishment that the source is real when queried. They'll hide behind journalistic ethics and we don't have to disclose our sources. If it's not borne out to be true, if an anonymous source says X, Y, and Z, don't report on it. You shouldn't be able to report on it. An anonymous source, well, or frame it as your opinion. Well, we heard from this source that the individual, we can't verify this. You have to put a disclaimer in. We can't verify that this is true. We got it from a random phone call from, a bathroom somewhere. We don't have any clue who it is, but this is what they're claiming. Okay, you can run with that story. You're qualifying it. That's all you'd have to do under this current bill that's being proposed. And that's what you should do. I've done it before. Have I not made it clear for anyone here who's clanked for more than a few months? Have there not been times when I've said, look, this story's juicy, it's interesting, but I can't vouch for it. I can't verify that it's true. I'm simply reporting what I was told. That's called ethics. That's what you're supposed to do. There was a time when the legacy media largely delved into such behavior. They have not done it lately. I think that this is a good idea, and it should go nationwide. We absolutely need to prevent the media from continuing to do the shit that it's been doing over the last few years with regards to the anonymous source says bullshit. Ozzy's robots predicting residential real estate invested by the likes of BlackRock and Bezos hedge funds are Trojan horses. Will collapse financially, get bailed out by government, and used to integrate leftism in the burbs. Probably a good prediction there. I happen to agree. Mr. Willie 2204. When you decide to move back to the States, I want to invite you to northeastern Alabama. You can garden all you want. People keep to themselves, and you don't have to have a permit from the government to concealed carry. That might be a little bit warm of a climate for me. That may be a little bit too far south. Well, good soil and good company, maybe. I was looking more at mid-Atlantic or thereabouts because I still do want snow. And no, you don't really get winter down in Alabama, not by my standards. I want a white Christmas. Although some Christmases in a row, there wasn't a white Christmas in Vermont. All of a sudden, 2 days after Christmas, you get dumped on. You get a foot of snow. It can't be bothered to help Santa land on the fucking roof. Crazy. Winter Walker, the ticks in New Hampshire have gotten horrible. Cedar oil helps, but yes, full body checks are necessary after coming in. There are definitely wokus here, depending on the area. To the person looking at New Hampshire, feel free to contact me. Yeah, maybe avoid the Manchester area. I've been to Hampton Beach, Manchester, Nashua, Concord, all of these places. Keene is nice. I like Keene, New Hampshire. I think it's a nice town. Claremont's nice. I've been all throughout most of New Hampshire. I was born there. I was born in Hanover. I wasn't born in Vermont. Adherent of Lady Columbia, do you see the right-wing populist and further left quasi-equivalent frothing and constant infighting burning out their bases, thus causing smaller echo chambers in both political and cultural gridlock? Yeah, it's already happening. It's becoming a problem. Padre Speaks, hey-o, Sticks. Check out based.cooking to add and check out cooking recipes. I'll be adding my barbecue and holiday recipes there this weekend. A little bit of a self-shout out there, I believe. I like barbecue. Tonight we're having sushi, though. Honest Jerk, 1911 or single-action army wheel gun? I would take the 1911 in that case. Can't wait to buy more guns. You can get guns here. It's just they're all air-powered. Some of them will kill a deer or a wild boar, but it's like, why can't I just have a real bullet with gunpowder in it? What the fuck is the difference? Article 1 Defense on Rumble. Reminder, everyone, join the Clankdom group over on MeWe. To be clear, I am not part of that. I don't have a MeWe account. Or do they even have accounts? I don't even know. I've never used MeWe. Next news story. It's time for some levity. It's time for something humorous. Asya Kamsin. My name is Aki Hamsin, Tanzanian fashion designer based in Houston, Texas, USA. I lost my bag in 2018 in DCA. This is Dallas's airport, I believe. Recently, I heard the news on Fox News about Sam Brinton's luggage issue. Surprisingly, I found his images wore my custom-made outfits, which were in the lost bag in 2018. She goes on through this. Yes, a Tanzanian fashion designer. I shit you not. This is like the primo stuff that we live for, right? A Tanzanian fashion designer living in Texas had Sam Brinton stealing her luggage. I think that this is before he was actually in a position of power from the Biden admin. You'll remember he was given a decently senior position that involves literal classified access to nuclear material. Not nuclear weapons, but nuclear energy. He was in the energy department. He's been fired. He's been charged with potential felonies, actually, at this point. He was caught on camera on 2 different occasions more recently, stealing women's luggage and then wearing it. But here's a picture of her, link in the description. Again, you can see it for yourself. That does look awfully similar now, doesn't it? In fact, it's actually identical, and it might be one of a kind, showing that Sam Brinton committed another potential felony. Unfortunately, he's out on bail. I'm surprised he hasn't skipped the country. Biden can probably arrange that for him. Well, come on, man. I got my 10% when you sold nuclear secrets to foreign countries. So now I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to give you a reach around, which, you'd probably like a lot from Biden if you're Sam Brinton. Let me rub your bald head for a moment, and I'll kick your ass over to Croatia. Don't worry, they won't extradite you. It'll be all good. Has this dude, by the way, how much luggage has he stolen? We've got 3 instances now that we know of. We've got this instance in 2018. We've got 2 instances over the last year. Those are corroborated by video footage. I'm sure if they dig back through, they'll probably be able to corroborate this. And then that could be big because if this is a fashion designer, these might be high-end clothes that are quite expensive. Yeah, you could get grand larceny charges or something like that. Not just the charges he already faces. Are we going to find out that this is something that he's done a dozen times or dozens of times? I mean, it's entirely possible. He's transiting around the country on the taxpayer's dime, stealing people's luggage and then lying about it to the FBI of all people, which is, by the way, why he's out on bail. He's done more significant crimes than most of the J6 people. They're still in solitary, so I don't see any reason to not throw the book at him. And the reason he was hired, again, by the Biden administration is diversity. Wokeness, because he claims to be non-binary and he wears women's clothing. Well, that's really great. He wears clothing for women. He steals them from the women. He's a kleptomaniac. If he's done this 3 times, we can say he's a goddamn klepto. It's a compulsion. He can't help it. He's mentally ill, but, keep him away from the luggage carousel. Rusty Shackelford. Southern New Jersey is great. Just ignore the lefties and city folk that invade during the summer months. We are largely conservative and very overlooked. Pine Barrens for life. The Pine Barrens are cool, but your state government sucks. So I wouldn't relocate to New Jersey. Too much gun control and taxes. Winter Walker. Hey, Sticks, if one wanted to get into the occult with an eventual goal of making a pact with a demon, where would you recommend starting? What books or other resources? Also, why did you choose Stolas? Stolas chose me, appearing to me when I was still a little kid. And things went from there. I can't really give advice on how to get in touch with demonic entities so much because they got in touch with me, which is a more unique case, I think. It's not common. And I am being literal. By the way, to people in chat, I'm being literal when I say that. I have seen this particular entity. I've talked about it before. Again, I do want to make another occult video talking about that experience and dovetailing it with certain other mimetic things that have happened over the last couple of years. Very interesting. But there are grimoires that'll tell you how to summon demons. There's some tongue-in-cheekness when you look through these works. If something sounds too good to be true, it might very well be. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Read the Grimorium Verum sometime, and then tell me if the spell involving the dead hanged man's head and some beans and whiskey actually generates a demon at a crossroads. Probably not, by the way. Ecstasy. North Carolina, between the Piedmont and the mountains, foothills area, might be perfect for what you're looking for. Great food, people who mind their own business, but will drop everything to help their neighbors. Clank. I've been looking at the Carolinas, Virginia, West Virginia, parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, the mountainous side, not the cornfield side. That general area is rather nice. I've been through it on bus. By the way, please send no more super chats. I'll try to keep it to 50 minutes today, and we do have one more news story to go, which will be a laugh and a half. Red Raider Matthias, I remember you said once in a video or stream a while back that 2023 was going to get weird. Wow, you weren't kidding. I fear for what else 2023 holds. I'm just buckled up and waiting for the excitement. Stimulate my goddamn dopamine, Joe. Do something else crazy. Fall down the stairs of Air Force One instead of up the stairs, and then we'll have a solid news day. Apache, you've said before that 1776 is unlikely because we live better than a farmer then. But the average person is a renter living check to check with no family. Well, that's not the average person, although it is a large group of people. Again, though, even a person who's living paycheck to paycheck, they don't have to worry about a famine preventing them from at least having food, even if it's just fucking Campbell's chicken soup or something. They don't have to worry about the fact that, the roof over their head probably, it's not like a favela living. It's not the kind of poverty that you see in other parts of the world, even in parts of Europe, Eastern Europe. It's on a different level. You have to go to barefoot Appalachia or a few very blighted parts of the U.S., the literal ghetto, in order to find poverty conditions that are on par with the undeveloped world. That makes it less likely that people will revolt. Also, they have no class consciousness at this point. The Grizzly, if you want non-edited books, go to Etsy and get custom editions. I have a library shelf just for collector's editions. My personal collection includes Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Dahl, and Moby Dick. Take that, Wokies. Yeah, you can get all sorts of stuff like that. Mockingbird Hill just found out Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine Prez, produced and starred a show, Servant of the People. The teacher, surprisingly elected president of Ukraine, ran 2015 to 19. Became real president of Ukraine in 2019. Yeah, it is odd how memetics works, isn't it? Branch Covidian 19. Would you consider moving to Wisconsin? My understanding is it's sort of like Vermont. No, too cold, too dark. If I'm going to move anywhere out of New England, it's going to be to a fairly warm climate. Mainly for gardening purposes and tax avoidance. Maracoyo, Keck saved me. Yeah, Keck's pretty cool. Wolf on the Plains, Sticks, time for a camera upgrade. You're constantly going in and out of focus and at times completely blurred. Peace out. Yeah, I do actually have to upgrade my setup, but I'm not going to do that till we move so that I have a home office. Now, once that happens, I will be tinkering around a little bit. Matakoyo. Hey, Sticks, so a few weeks back, I asked if I should take the stab or go visit my cousin. Well, turns out Florida doesn't even offer them to people my age, 18 to 35 anymore. So fuck that. Keck saved me. Good. I think you made the right decision. Ozzy's Robots, leave luggage next to Sam Brinton with poopy underwear. Yeah, can you imagine you troll Sam Brinton? You have the designer's luggage parcel, the $1,000 case or something. You know he's in the airport, but then there's a glitter bomb inside of it. Just joking, you shouldn't do that in an airport, but, just figure out something. It's just a picture of Sam Brinton, but it's photo shoot with him eating shit or something. Transylvanian 90, what's a better indictment of quota hiring than hiring someone for diversity who ends up being a klepto? Terrible implications for classified material. Yeah, I'm much more concerned about the fact that he did have at least low-level classified access to U.S. nuclear energy secrets than anything that Trump or goddamn even fucking Biden or Pence have done with regards to that material. Not a bad account. Any updates on the EU farm confiscation efforts? I think the situation is the same at the moment. And the final news story before we end here. We're going to read a cringe quote from NATO's official Twitter feed. Yes, this is from @NATO on Twitter. This is not a joke. It's not satire. This is not someone pretending to be the official NATO account. They're fully verified. I looked into it because when I first saw it, I figured, oh, someone's having a lark. This is hilarious, but surely the NATO account would never actually use taxpayer money to post this kind of stuff. Now, backstory and framing, it is technically part of a long quotation from a Ukrainian fighter, but they should not have posted it, especially the 9th part of the tweet here, which I will read verbatim. Ukraine is hosting one of the great epics of this century. Well, it is a major war, so I will grant you that. But the follow-up is terrible. We are Harry Potter and William Wallace, the Na'vi and Han Solo. We're escaping from Shawshank and blowing up the Death Star. We are fighting with the Harkonnens and challenging Thanos. Yeah, that's a real tweet from the Twitter NATO account. Read it for yourself. Archived link in the description. Some of the other tweets there are more like they're down to earth, kind of. And then there's like a picture of a bunch of burned out tanks and wreckage and debris. I'm thinking to myself, this comes perilously close to the hashtag resist pink pussy hat wearers years ago and claiming themselves to be Dumbledore's army. In fact, it comes more than perilously close. And the examples that you're given aren't necessarily apt. By the way, why are you bringing up Harry Potter when Harry Potter supposedly represents evil against trans people? Harry Potter is no longer woke. The fact that a third wave feminist pulled herself up by the bootstraps in order to write the series and become a goddamn billionaire is not enough for leftoids anymore. Even if she does support Labor and the Green Party, she is now trans exclusionary, and therefore she's far right and evil and bad. It's only a matter of time before they try to lump her in with the alt-right, by the way. Well, she's also white and fair skin. Well, put two and two together, people. Harry Potter is Nazi propaganda. I fondly remember the days when it was Satanist propaganda. We've come quite a way since the 1990s. No longer trying to convince your kids to worship the devil. Now it's trying to convince them to bully transgendered people again. I'm sorry. I can't, as a millennial, I can't even say it with a straight face. It's like if you said that Pokemon was alt-right or something like that. I remember when people thought that would make you worship the devil too. Oh my God, look at these horrendous creatures. These hideous demons that you're summoning to fight for you. It's clearly it's devil worship. I've heard this before in my life, and all of those examples now they're considered far right. Well, anime, I mean, it is lumped in with the incel all right anyway. So I guess the prophecy comes true. Not a bad account. Who put the boomer in charge of NATO's Twitter? I have no idea who goddamn greenlighted this. Or why the Ukrainian fighter, by the way, thought that this was poignant and not completely cringe. Like, are you trying to attract Zoomers to go fight for Zelensky or something? Zoomers hate Harry Potter at this point. They think that Harry Potter's trans exclusionary. And Star Wars, that evil George Lucas, you look at that one character, Watto, in episode 1 and briefly in 2, clearly a stereotype of one sort or another. Ryan Miller, I need one more book to fill out my 2023 to-read list. What would you recommend? I will always recommend The Elfin Ship by James P. Blaylock. You can get a used copy off eBay. Failing that, or if you've already read it, get the Keys to Paradise by Robert E. Vardaman. Or you can get Lake Monster Traditions if you want nonfiction by Claude Gagnon and Michel Murger. It's an old early 80s French effort. It's anthropological. It talks about different lake monsters and all the backstory. It is extremely academic. Oh, it's comfy reading, trust me. You'll get cozy if you read that. Trash Panda, that was a cringe tweet. It still should have been something epic like Kiev Stands. Yeah, just leave it at that. I mean, this is a 10-part tweet thread, and you thought to throw that one in there. F4K3 can confirm growing up in North Carolina, having the cool mountain climate is nice, and then the beach is a couple hours away for a fun weekend trip. Fuck the beach, I just want the mountains. I'd like to be somewhere in them foothills, along the spine of the mountains on the east coast of the U.S. Not too far north or south, preferably, though, because I do want to have winter, but I don't want to have 4 months of winter. I'm getting older now. I'm slowing down. All I want to do is putter around in the garden. Little bit of snow shoveling is fine. I'd like it to be like down in the Carolinas where you shovel 2 inches instead of in Vermont where you shovel 2 feet. It's going to be a little bit much for me once I'm 50 fucking years old now, isn't it? Transylvanian 90, what the fuck does Han Solo have to do with the defensive war struggle? Well, don't you know that the Ukrainians are the Rebel Alliance and that Vladimir Putin is the retarded version of Darth Vader or Snoke, probably? That's what I'm being told. We're Dumbledore's army. Christ almighty. Jesus. It's the official NATO account. Now, I'm used to seeing stuff like that from, some left-wing activist or something in or out of the context of the Ukraine war. But from NATO's account, partially taxpayer funded. How lovely. Anyway, I think that I'm going to go offline and start my weekend a few minutes early here because, of course, tonight is sushi night, and I just want to sack out. I've live streamed for 5 days. Did a shit ton of editing. I did a double edit 3 days in a row, passed my driver's exam for the Netherlands, and did 10,000 other things. And then there's baby care, there's cleaning to do, and spring is approaching. All I want to do is go out and get some fresh air for a few minutes, dog. So I'm out. That's about all. Peace out.